Welcome to Atheist Talk on KTNF, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Good morning to all of you joining us locally by radio and streaming online. We appreciate you tuning in. Today is Sunday, November 4th. I'm your host, Maddie Love, and I'm here in studio with Hertzey Hertz, and we're joined by Skype. We're joined via Skype by Alice Vaughn. Alice is the creator of Offensive Crayons, Galaxy Bath Bombs, and is the co-host of the extremely popular podcast, Two Girls, One Mic. This is an open conversation. We welcome and encourage listener interaction with your phone calls to 952-946-6205, your emails to radio@mnatheist.org, tweet us at Atheist Talk, or find us on Facebook over at facebook.com/Atheist Talk. All right, Hertzey, Alice, thank you for remembering to turn back your clocks and join me on air this morning.
Yeah, I might have gotten here a little early on accident. It's a good thing I've kind of become an early riser anyways. I'll probably pay for it later.
No, I feel the same way. I woke up this morning, I turned over, looked at my clock, so I was around 5 a.m. I'm like, no, this is just way too early on a Sunday. No.
Oh, and are you on the West Coast?
I'm on the East Coast.
Oh,
I'm
East
in New York
Coast.
City.
Oh, okay. For that makes it a little bit easier.
Yes. I always feel bad when we have people who are like on the way West Coast because it's 2 hours early, and I'm like, I'm sorry, it's 7 o'clock where you are.
Yeah, we had Shelley Segal on when she was calling in from LA, and she's like, oh, it is 7 in the morning. It is too late to be up. I didn't even go to bed yet. So, Alice, one of the first things I actually ever heard about you was your project Offensive Crayons, which I've been told I have an accent and I pronounce that word weird. So crayons in the sense of like the things you color on coloring books with. How can crayons be offensive?
Well, the names that you put on them can be a little offensive. So when they have names like Boner Pill Blue, Miscarriage Maroon, White is Privilege, we have, trust me, they get a lot worse. We have Statutory Grape, Your Parents' Divorce Was Your Fault Peach. Trust me, I'm not going to say the gray one on air because I don't know if I'm allowed.
Can you give us a hint?
It's not good. It has to do with Auschwitz.
Oh, yeah. I guess I don't know if you can say that or not.
I know you can't hear me because I'm laughing very quietly because we're on the radio, but I am doubled over in laughter.
And don't worry, I'm an equal opportunity offender. I offend all groups, people, corporations, and people too. Well, technically corporations are people, so I had to have a swing at them. But the project actually came off as kind of a joke last year, and then it blew up within like 24 hours of me putting it on Kickstarter. I had already hit my goal, and I was like, well, it looks like this is a real thing. And then the long story short of it is that we raised quite a bit on Kickstarter, like around $15,000, which was from our initial goal of $3,000. Then I shipped out the products, and then once I went on Amazon around Christmas time, I got calls from my Amazon rep saying, "What are you doing? Because only like massive companies are getting the traffic you're getting." And I had sold out within a few weeks. And then next thing I knew, I went viral on Reddit earlier on this year with the crayons. And by the way, this is when I had absolutely no inventory. I went viral. I'm like, okay, I thought I was out of the crayon business. And a day earlier, before I had gone viral, Amazon actually had taken my product down for review because they had received a number of complaints. Because, well, that's kind of what happens when you have a product called Offensive Crayons. Who knew? It could offend people.
Did you ever foresee getting into I'm going to get into the crayon business?
No, just like I never thought about getting into the porn business, but here I am. But here's the crazy part. So I started collecting pre-orders because I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm going to be back online soon enough, and I have to reorder this stuff because I had gone viral with these crayons. And then a few weeks later, Amazon gets back to me and they tell me, so we're going to have to pull your product because, and this was their official statement, you offended children and Caucasians.
Aww, that's too bad. Why were why were the children?
Were the children actually offended, or was it people speaking for them? Because I'll be honest, the number of times I see the children are offended, it's somebody else.
Won't anyone speak for the children?
Everybody speaks for the children.
Think about the children.
Nope.
Just think about their tiny little hands putting the labels on these crayons.
Oh, we're going to have fun on the Patreon, Alice. I'm just going to say that.
But I still sell them. I was able to find a distribution network outside of Amazon. I'll be honest, I make little to no money off the crayons. It's for me, it's something that, anytime I make the money, I just throw back into advertising of these because I want people to know about them. And we're actually, I'm about to launch the holiday version. We're only going to have 5,000 units of the holiday edition. That's it. And I mean, we're going to bring you colors like, white is going to be white baby Jesus.
Oh, God.
We're going to have elf balls because everybody wants to know what color those are.
I was going to say, you say that while I'm on your website counting the number of people I need to buy these crayons for. And I'm like, now do I wait for the holiday version? Because I know Maddie, I think Maddie, I'm not a holiday person. And this sounds great.
Well, I just think they're so affordably priced as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what, $8.95?
$8.50.
$8.50. See, even cheaper.
I know. It's like, when I saw $8.50, I was like, that actually is great. I'll get the offensive crayons, and then I'll go and I'll find like an offensive coloring book, and it's just the complete package.
Okay, and I'm on Amazon right now, and I love the hypocrisy that your crayons aren't allowed to be on there. When the very first thing that comes up when I search for offensive crayons is one that says, "Go F yourself," and it's got the word. It just has an asterisk in the U. I'm coloring offensive pencils, profanity pencils, like a swear word coloring book for the farting animals coloring book. It's like, but yet these crayons are too offensive.
People, it's a lot of that I know is people who complain because it's like people actually have to report it for Amazon to care.
Well, apparently Caucasians have to report that they are offended.
Do they do anything else?
All I'm saying is I believe that all crayons matter, so.
We're happy that you take an equality stance when it comes to the color of a crayon.
I just realized how many emails we're going to get.
Oh, I'm sure they're all going to be positive.
Well, I have to answer them all, so it'll be fine.
Well, you know what? They'll be colorful.
So you also have these really pretty bath bombs.
Yes.
Oh my God,
so
I love those.
Thank you. So I decided to do the whitest thing imaginable and make bath bombs. So I decided to take the opposite route. So one of the things that I love is I'm a big science enthusiast and nerd, and I actually, on the rare occasion, I do like to take a bath. I say that as if I don't clean myself.
We recommend bathing here on Atheist Talk or showering.
We're multi-bathtub.
Yeah, some form of personal grooming and hygiene.
Yes.
We're all, but on the other hand, if you don't, we still think of you as a person.
Yeah, well, there's also some fun shortcuts, but we can talk about that later.
We probably won't.
No.
But the Galaxy bath bombs, they originated because I wanted actually a set of bath bombs that were like space themed. I thought it would be a really cool idea. And the closest I could find was, I think there was like a seller in the UK or somewhere in the middle of nowhere that was creating, there were like one or two people that were making them, but they cost like $65, $85 for a set of bath bombs. And I was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. And I thought, well, what's it going to take if I did something like this that was something that was fairly affordable, really nice quality, like a Lush type quality? And I went out of my way. I figured it out, and I realized I was able to do this and get people like a beautiful set of bath bombs. Like the packaging, I think, is gorgeous. I had it custom made. It's just like, every single planet, by the way, I put so much thought into, because for Uranus I need to have it smell like cucumber for reasons.
Atheist Talk does not suggest using cucumbers for any reasons other than eating. I'm actually serious about this.
Well, I'm serious too, so...
No, do not use... We'll talk about that on the Patreon. I'm sorry, I have to go back to the crayons for just 2 seconds.
Let's do it.
If you are on her crayon website, she does have a coloring book, a PDF coloring book.
And it's cheap. It's like $2.
$3.
Sorry, I'm getting the prices wrong.
It's all right. But still, okay, so I have a question for you, Alice, since I have you for a second. If I, if I print this out for presents, is that going to be okay? The coloring book?
I won't stop you. Yeah, totally. I mean, the whole point is the coloring book is electronic, because I looked into what it would make for what it would cost me to make actual coloring books, and it just was so inefficient. I would have lost money. So I was like, all right, people can figure out if they have a printer or find one. So
okay, all right.
Yeah.
Now we need to go back to the bath bombs because those are awesome.
Bath bombs.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, you get the 8 planets plus a sun. Sorry, Pluto. Hashtag not sorry.
Rude.
She doesn't care enough for Pluto.
I know.
Nobody cares about Pluto.
That was a Moon of Pluto joke.
No.
Sorry. And we actually, I'm unfortunately gonna cut you off because we are gonna head into a break. So we will take up the cause for why Pluto is a planet or not right after this break. Please stay with us. We'll return to Atheist Talk with Hertzey and Alice Vaughn of Two Girls, One Mic and Galaxy Bath Bombs and Offensive Crayons. I'm Maddie Love, and you're listening to AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Welcome back to AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota. You're tuned into Atheist Talk. I'm your host, Maddie Love, in studio this week with Hertzey Hertz, and we're joined via Skype by Alice Vaughn, creator of Offensive Crayons. Atheist Talk is produced with funding from the Minnesota Atheists and Cucumbers Restaurant in Edina, Minnesota. Please consider visiting our sponsors, and if you do, let them know that you appreciate their support of Atheist Talk. If you'd like to advertise in this program and help keep us on the air, please contact us at radio@mnatheist.org. If you would like to get involved with some community activism today, you can join Minnesota Atheists and American Atheists as we counter-protest. From 2:30 to 5:30 this afternoon, we'll be counter-protesting anti-abortion zealots who plan to rally outside Planned Parenthood's St. Paul Health Center, Vandalia? I can't pronounce that.
Vandalia.
Thank you. To celebrate their, quote, 40 days of life, unquote, harassment and intimidation of women seeking health care. Join Minnesota Atheists, American Atheists, and Twin Cities Clinic Defense as we defend reproductive freedom.
And probably more, actually.
Probably.
I was going to say, these counter-protests usually get a lot of cool people.
So bundle up and meet us at the corner of University Avenue and Vandalia Street with your signs, banners, and voices to fight for reproductive rights. Unlawful Assembly Marching Band will also be there providing radical tunes. As for the here and now, if you'd like to get involved in the conversation with Hertzey and myself and Alice, you can call us at 952-946-6205, email us at radio@mnatheist.org, or tweet us at Atheist Talk using our Facebook account, which I don't know what else you'd use to, yeah, anyway. So when we left, we were discussing the pros and cons of why you don't believe Pluto is a planet, and I don't think we actually need to get... Oh, don't cry, Hertzey. It's okay.
Pluto was always my favorite.
Well, the problem with including Pluto in the bath bomb set is it would be so small that it wouldn't even be worth, having.
Fine.
I'm just saying.
No, you're right. You're right.
I could open up new horizons, but that's about it. I did notice, though, Alice, that your bath bomb set is not scientifically accurate as far as the size of the bath bombs.
They're not, and unfortunately, I mean, there's only so much you can do when it comes to manufacturing. So I don't like that. So let me put it this way. So, as with anything, there's always going to be challenges, and when you're creating a product from scratch and you're finding a manufacturer. So actually, the bath bombs are going to be really interesting to talk about for like 2 seconds. So. Because of tariffs. So first off, I'm working with overseas manufacturing in order to make these. They've gone through all the protocol and standards. Like this is a similar company that does actually they make cosmetics also for like Sephora and Ulta and different brands like that. So I wanted to find someone very reputable. However, when it came to like explaining what you want, you have to be exceptionally clear because anything can go wrong. I remember when I was making the crayons for the first time, I had to explain, it's like, no. Like, I can't have, like, the colors mixed up, or like to be the different names on different crayon colors, or just where labeling goes. With the bath bombs, they're really pretty, they're nice. Unfortunately, sorry, they're not accurate. And again, I'm so sorry for all the Plutonians that I'm offending by not having Pluto.
I'm also offended. I was going to say, I'm also offended as a millennial because you kept going about labels. Sorry, that's a callback to a very old thing.
But what's interesting is, I'll be honest, I don't know. I mean, I have still inventory of the Galaxy bath bombs, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to continue manufacturing them. And it's kind of sad because it's a product I was so deeply invested in and I made from scratch. It's like my little non-offensive baby that I could show to the world. It's like, unlike the redheaded stepchild that you're like, all right, let's not talk about you. It's like, oh, here's something that's presentable. But what happened is, so the tariffs overseas to manufacture these originally were about 5.8%. Because of the tariffs, because we're kind of in a bit of a trade war with China. And I'll be honest, I don't know all the details because I've heard conflicting statements of why we have this ongoing thing with China. It's supposedly, I think it's like copyright infringement or something with technology. I looked into parts of it and I'm like, okay, technically not wrong to hold their feet to the fire. But the problem is, as like a small business person, I got a note about a month or two ago from my manufacturer saying, hey, just so you know, unfortunately by September, October, the rates are increasing to 15.8%. And in January, it's going to be 25.8%. And that's just the tariff tax.
So that doesn't mean like the price is going to go up for like the consumer 25%. The price, I'm assuming, would go up even more.
Well, that could go up for the consumer, depending if the manufacturer wants to pass along the price to the consumer. So let me put it this way. If I'm a manufacturer and my original tariff is like 5.8%, I'm building that into the cost of manufacturing the product. Just like anything else, like, whether it be distribution costs or, creation or licensing costs, all of that's, or packaging costs, all of that is kind of built into whatever you're buying. But I'm someone who's like starting off, and for me, it was going to be this thing where it's like, okay, any profit I was going to make, I was going to dump back into more inventory. But like when you're told, it's like, hey, the price is basically going to like go up on your end by like 25% as
Ouch.
the person who's creating this. That's exactly. It's ouch. So you have to figure, do I raise the price? But then what happens is then my product becomes less competitive and less appealing to the average consumer. And then it's like, well, what's it? Then I'd have to, let's say, hypothetically raise it to like $50 or $60. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Or I take the hit and it's harder for me to manufacture. So, or do I just wait it out until the tariffs go down, which could be how many years? So it's put me in this weird position, but it's been really interesting to learn, kind of what's going on in the background, because this does affect one of my businesses, and it kind of sucks, but it's interesting.
It's also great because like that whole thing that you went through is things that I need more people to listen to sometimes. I'm an accountant, and so there's so many times I hear things about people being like, well, why isn't it just like this? It's like, okay, there's other costs that you're not thinking about.
Yeah, we were just talking before we went on air about how economics, everybody's like, well, I understand economics. It's just supply and demand. It's like, no. That's like a high school level version of economics, and it doesn't translate to the real world.
Nope. No, the moment you put humans into something, everything goes astray.
I feel like humans are very good at that.
Yeah. So I really do want to get to your podcast, Two Girls, One Mic, which we've kind of alluded to. I guess we're going to have to wait. We'll maybe get like one question. We got 55 seconds.
Let's do it.
All right. So can you just give us, like, what is the general topic? We've kind of alluded to it, but...
Okay, so Two Girls, One Mic, the porncast. Want to be clear, because there's multiple Two Girls, One Mics, unfortunately. But we discuss the holes and the plot holes of your favorite porn.
I don't get it. We'll return to our guest, Alice Vaughn, after this short commercial break. Please stay with us. I'm Maddy Love, in studio with Hertzey Hertz. You're listening to Atheist Talk on KTNF, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Thank you for tuning into Atheist Talk on AM 950 KTNF. I'm your host, Maddy Love, in studio with Hertzey Hertz, and joined via Skype by Alice Vaughn of the popular Two Girls, One Mic podcast, Porncast, and creator of Offensive Crayons. If you'd like to chat with us this morning, you can call us at 952-946-6205, email us at radio@mnatheist.org, or tweet us at Atheist Talk. Before we continue this conversation, there's a bit of housekeeping to attend to. I want to thank our dedicated group of volunteers and the generous donations of you, our listeners, who help keep Atheist Talk on air and in podcast. If you're able to help with a donation, please consider doing so at our Radio Fund page or our Patreon, where you can get extended interviews over at patreon.com/atheisttalk. Minnesota Atheists is a 501c3 tax-deductible organization. We couldn't do the show without you, and we do deeply appreciate your support. Music for Atheist Talk is by composer and member Brent Michael David, and is used with permission. Please note all opinions are of guests and hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the Minnesota Atheist Organization. And now, back to our conversation with Hertzey and Alice Vaughn. Thanks for sticking through the break again. Uh-oh.
Alice?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, thank heavens. Nearly gave us a heart attack.
Oh, no.
Well, we were like, oh, no, did she drop? Don't tell us she dropped. I don't know enough about porn to talk about this segment.
I don't even know what porn is. I've never witnessed it.
I guess, actually, we should start with that for those who don't know. Alice, could you tell us what porn is?
Oh, God.
Or I can do it. I'll do it.
I always thought it was something
I've never been asked to define it.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing you do video?
No, we actually don't at all.
Oh, really?
No,
yeah, which is always interesting. People are like, wait, do you actually do stuff on camera? I'm like, no, we talk about porn. Wait, how do you do that?
No, that's what I meant, that you review videos.
Yes, so we do review video.
Okay.
I thought you asked if we did a video segment. No.
No. I was asking if you review the videos.
I was going to say, wait, is there audio only porn?
I wouldn't be surprised. I know there is literature.
There is.
So is it just like an audiobook?
Yeah, I mean.
Yes.
I
Interesting.
just found a new idea that would be absolutely awesome.
I'm sorry, we completely we asked her a question and then we started talking and did not let her answer it.
I know. Alice, would you tell us about what is porn?
Well, before we get into that, shout out to Gilbert Gottfried for reading 50 Shades of Grey, my favorite version of erotica.
Yes.
I have never actually been interested in that book, but I would be interested in listening to some of that.
It's bad. It's so bad. I didn't even get past chapter 4. Anyways, Alice.
Yes. Back to the porn.
That's said so
here.
frequently here on this program. All the time we're like, you know what? We need to get back to the porn.
Back to the porn. So what is porn? Do we really need me to define this for the audience? I've never had to before.
Yeah, just to be on the safe side.
Oh, okay, let me Google what is the definition of porn.
I feel like it's something like isn't the Supreme Court had at one point had said, and not that they're the end all be all of definitions by any stretch, but it's more like you know it when you see it kind of thing, like where that crosses the line between like not pornography, but just like I don't know.
It's basically anything that's movies, TV, magazines, book that appeal to someone sexually. So as far as adults doing extra adult things, not just like carpentry or like fixing stuff around the house. It's Stuff with the closed doors.
Wow, that's suddenly all those Facebook posts I've seen of friends saying they're adulting today now makes more sense. I was like, wow, you do that at the grocery store? You're braver than I am. I just don't have that kind of self-confidence.
It's amazing what you can find in the produce section.
So one of the things I kind of wanted to touch on about your porncast is, have you had any pushback, like from the religious angle on that?
Not really. I think we had one person push back, but they were kind of a nobody in a forum, and they were quoting someone who was like, I used to watch porn, now it's bad, and I'm a minister now. I'm like, okay, we're going to go with that angle. I'm not going to even look at this. But honestly, our audience has been super, super supportive, mostly because if you think about it, everybody consumes or participates in this industry in one way or another as a consumer or producer. And I mean, it's nothing to be ashamed of. And I feel like we're in a society where, it's like sex is thrown in our face, in the U.S. all the time. But it's like, oh, God forbid we actually talk about sex and sexuality. Oops, shoot.
That's
so
okay.
Sorry.
We have a fantastic sound producer who was able to correct that.
That was dumped.
Great. I won't make that mistake again. But the point is that so when we actually, my co-host and I, Yvette, when we were talking about doing a podcast for a while, at some point we just got on the topic of actually we have Neil deGrasse Tyson to thank for this, so we're gonna just pull him into this conversation randomly because he pulls apart the plot lines in bad science movies, and somehow we decided, oh wait, well, we kind of do that with porn, and because we actually watch it for the plot. We're weirdos. We do watch it for the plot, not just the clips. And we realized we can do this, and no one else is really doing this. And we want to also have conversations with people either in the industry or industry adjacent. And to date, we've had conversations with people like Ella Darling, who was spearheading a lot of the VR technology in the porn industry. We've had conversations with Sin Sage, an AVN Award winner, Anina Hartley, who's like the Meryl Streep of porn. Jesus. We've had conversations regarding laws and legislations that affect not only porn, but for example, like free speech and censorship online for people. So it's amazing how many things like start with the porn industry and affect everything else. So it's just really fun to be able to have these conversations with people, but also have just entire podcasts where we just talk about, hey, here's a porn we watched. It was instead of watching, let's say, Pulp Fiction, we watched Pump Fiction, and we were able to discuss, okay, what was the dialogue like? How did they do the scenery? What was the cinematography like? Because we care. We also care about if there's continuity in the porn, or at least I do. I really appreciate it. Like I watched The Big Lebowski XXX the other day, and I was impressed by how much continuity and how much they stuck to the actual script was in there. And there was some pretty decent acting as well. So, although there were some also horrific accents, but they had a really good Walter character, so I'll give them that.
I'm curious, do you ever touch on, because one of the criticisms of porn in general, especially by people whose goal it is to denigrate or smear pornography. Mm-hmm. Do you ever talk about the potential issues of like sex trafficking and people who are in pornography not by choice, or if by choice, but they're treated poorly while they're in the industry?
So it's much less of an issue nowadays. And I say that because I remember when we started doing Deep Throat, one of the things I did not anticipate is Linda Lovelace. The actress Linda Lovelace, she actually joined the anti-pornography movement for a bit because she was forced into it by an abusive husband doing pornography. That said, there's a lot of conflicting issues. Regardless, she felt like she was used by both sides of the spectrum there. But nowadays, I say it's much less of an issue because because of the access to the internet, and now that anyone can turn on a webcam and create their own clips. There's so few roles in the industry to do it that the people who, get these jobs, they want these jobs. You can't just force someone because they have to be genuine. It's not just acting. You actually, you could tell if someone's not really enjoying themselves on scene. So that's why nowadays, at least, the good news is that there's much less prevalence of, people in the industry saying that I haven't run into anyone in the industry nowadays that says, oh, I came into this out of a bad situation, thankfully. A lot of the people that we've spoken to, all the porn stars have been fantastic. They're super intelligent, well-spoken people. We've had people who are former reference librarians, former aerospace engineers who've gotten into this industry. We had someone who literally said to us, this is what I wanted to do when I grew up.
Yeah, I listened to that episode. I think it caught me off guard because I had such a cognitive dissonance that even though I don't have an issue, I have no problems with sex positivity, it went against everything I'd always thought about the porn industry and about well, why would anybody ever pick this? And I had to check myself and go, what? Why am I even having this thought?
Yeah. And, we've talked about it. We do want to have a serious discussion on sex trafficking, but we want to do it in the right light. We want to find the right people to speak to. We want to make sure that, we have, that our audience also, we kind of don't also want to do it out the gate because there is so much, negativity already surrounding the porn industry. I mean, in our episode with Ella Darling, for example, she mentioned that one of the biggest challenges a lot of porn stars face is that it's not that porn has an issue of people have an issue of porn. So you can have done porn 10 years ago and try working at a job in a subway. You could try being a sandwich artist in a subway. And I have to put emphasis on that because it's such a great job to be fired from for doing porn, because apparently that's happened to people, unfortunately, and it sucks. You
flung the mail in your previous life, you can't fling the mail here. I do have with the current law that just passed, was it a year ago, the SESTA-FOSTA Acts that was meant to impact sex trafficking, which has only it has only hurt and put sex workers in danger. Has that
hurt so many things?
Has that impacted the porn industry at all that you're aware of?
Yeah, yes and no. So it's impacted a lot more than porn. It's actually impacted a lot of online speech censorship as well. So I'll explain that in a sec. So just to keep it very simple. So SESTA and FOSTA was basically the Stop Sex Trafficking Act, and I forgot what FOSTA stands for. But the point is this, that the whole point of them was, and by the way, these were spearheaded by liberal Kamala Harris, who co-wrote these. Yeah. So I'm not a fan of this. Which is, the whole point is to say, oh, well, if we shut down these sites like on Craigslist, these entire personnel section where people are offering escort services and Backpage.com, well, it's going to be safer because then people can't elicit these illegal services. Here's the problem with that. When people are online, you can screen people online as opposed to having to meet up with them in a shady alley. And are we going to commercial break?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So
I'll hold that thought.
Fantastic. We'll return with our guest, Alice Vaughn, after this short commercial break. Please stay with us. I'm Maddie Love in studio with Hertz. You're listening to Atheist Talk on KTNF, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Welcome back to AM 950, KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota. You're tuned into Atheist Talk. I'm your host, Maddie Love, in studio with Hertzey and Alice Vaughn. If you're curious about Minnesota Atheists, you can check out the Minnesota Atheists website. We have previous episodes, you can browse articles, book reviews, and peruse the calendar of upcoming events. You can also sign up for the Atheist Weekly email, which will tell you to give you links to upcoming events. We also have a lot of activities going on around the Twin Cities and outlying suburbs. Come and discover all that Minnesota Atheists has to offer and consider becoming a member of Minnesota Atheists. Membership has some great perks. Check out how to become a member on the website. Immediately following this broadcast, I'll be heading over to Cucumbers for the monthly first Sunday of the month brunch, where we'll enjoy some delicious food in the fantastic company of like-minded atheists. I really hope to see some of you there. And now, back to the conversation with Hertzey and Alice, who I interrupted as she was talking about back alley something or other.
Yeah, so we were talking about SESTA and FOSTA and what the implications of those laws are, because they have been signed, unfortunately. So the whole point is the intention was to curb sex trafficking. But the actual reality is, first off, it makes it a lot less safe for hypothetically escorts and people who want these services to actually meet someone in a safe manner, which, I mean, let's be honest, it's already hard enough. And I mean, if people are going to do this anyway, wouldn't we want it to be as safe for them as possible? These are consenting adults who are trading services. So, regardless of your opinion, we ideally want to make it as safe for them as possible. So removing internet platforms for people to vet these people is a huge deal. So that's number one. Number two, how it affects the average consumer is, think of it this way. What it does is it makes not the user responsible for the content they post, but it makes the CDN and the website responsible for the content that's posted. So what that means is, if you're a website, like not even just like only a Craigslist, but if you're a site like Wikipedia, Facebook, the Internet Archive, Reddit, you are now responsible for all the content your users post. All of it. So including anything illegal. So what that means is, instead of the users being held accountable, you as an entire website are held accountable. That does two things. That means, number one, if I want to start a website like a Wikipedia or an Internet Archive today, it would be nearly impossible because of all the legal tape and all the things it would cost me in order to start something like that. So that way I don't step on any toes, and I have all the security precautions, so that way no one's posting anything illicit. That's number one. Number two, what it also does is that means that me now as a website, since I'm now responsible for the content that my users post, that means that I have to censor anything that may even look a little shady that I'm maybe not comfortable with, even if it's lawful speech, just because, I don't want to get in trouble, legally speaking. So I'm going to be starting to take down anything that, might be a red flag or even a yellow flag, just because, again, I don't want to get in trouble. So think of it this way. It's like saying you have a road, and instead of holding the drivers on the road accountable, you're holding the actual road accountable. And how the internet should work is, everybody should be able to use the roads, and we just should keep the users accountable, for the actions they're doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a law that, on its face had a good... Like, there was a good heart behind it. Like, the intent was good. But the problem is that the people who were trying to stop the sex trafficking didn't bother to, understand what the best way to do that would be, or to even, look at the scope of the problem. I mean, I talked to a number of people that are part of, Sex Workers Outreach Project. And all of them had the same thing to say, when the Super Bowl was coming to town, that all the extra increased security against trafficking that wasn't going to be happening as much was actually impacting and harming them, because the police were out there picking up the people that were just trying to make a living and ignoring and missing all the trafficking that was going on in the background. And it was just it was really powerful to sit down and talk to them and go, wow, this is something I'm completely ignorant of, which is why I would not try to write a law about it.
Absolutely. And that's a problem. Porn gets so frequently conflated with sex trafficking when they're two completely different industries. I'll be frank with you. I know more about porn than I do about sex trafficking. So I'm definitely not an authority to speak on it whatsoever. It's something that I definitely need more of an education on. And I can't wait to speak to an expert about it because I would love to know how do they more operate? Because let's be honest, they have to use more extreme back channels. But unfortunately, porn gets conflated because when you make something, that's a problem, when you make something illegal that people are going to do anyway, like marijuana or porn or, escorting services, which, again, these things aren't harmful. They're different than sex trafficking where you're forcing someone against their will to participate in this. So they have to do something just almost as shady as those people who are doing the extreme illegal shady things just to do the services that shouldn't be illegal to begin with. It's kind of crazy.
Well, yeah, and from my position, like from Atheist Talk, one of the reasons why this frustrates me so much is it's steeped in religious morality is what's shaping these laws. Because if you take – I've heard non-religious reasons to not have prostitution or pornography, but they're pretty ridiculous and flimsy. But the strongest arguments against pornography is just religious morality, and I don't think any religious rule should be applied to a secular law.
Well, that's the thing. There's definitely issues with religious morality. That's definitely one half of it. Unfortunately, though, you have also like in the UK, you have the Obscene Publications Act, which makes it illegal for websites that can be accessed from the UK to contain certain types of adult content. And that includes things like spanking. That includes things like female ejaculation, because God forbid we see that. It disallows role play. It forbids a number of things that actually would be considered fairly tame. I think bondage is also one of them. It's like 20 different things. But my point is this, that you also see, like last year I was in a Pornhub pop-up event, and outside I saw Gloria Steinem protesting this pop-up event of just all they were doing is selling T-shirts and maybe some sex toys. That's all they were doing. But they were protesting sex trafficking outside this, and I'm like, no, why are you doing this? This is wrong place, god damn it. But yes, there is this religious morality, and unfortunately, I feel like sometimes people make bedfellows with the religious extremists because they just don't realize what they're protesting, which is very, very frustrating.
And we've actually only got about a minute left on the broadcast. No. Alice did promise that she would stick around for a few minutes to join us for our Patreons, which she will not be censoring herself. And the radio station will not be censoring any slips that you may have heard. And we can get into much more detail on we said we were going to talk about cucumbers. And not the fantastic place for brunch that I'm going to.
No.
Okay.
Can I say just a quote that I love?
10 seconds.
Awesome. That America is the only place where sex is an obsession. Everywhere else, it's just normal life.
All right, well, thank you for tuning to Atheist Talk. We'd love for you to join us again next Sunday, which should be another exciting episode. I'm proud to be on the air with Minnesota Atheists and hope you've enjoyed the show. The show depends on generous support of our members, sponsors, and donors. Please consider supporting them through the donation link at mnatheist.org. This has been Atheist Talk on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota.